This podcast is brought to you by Midwinter. These guys were a startup, an entrepreneurial startup some 10 years ago, way before it was even cool to be a tech startup, and have since then gone on to win every single award year after year after year when it comes to financial advice software. I use them. I know a lot of people that have, and if you haven't already jumped onto the new way of doing business, which is all cloud-based and API, so it all talks to each other, then go look at yourself in the mirror and sort yourself out and go get Midwinter.
Cool. So we might kick things off. Thanks, guys, for jumping on. Really excited to bring you the West up-and-coming superstar financial planner, Kath Cairns, this morning. Kath's going to talk a bit more about her background, so I won't go into it in too much detail, but she's doing some really cool stuff in her business. Relatively new-ish to the advice game. She was a Rising Star finalist for last year, and looking forward to getting some of her wisdom. Just before we get into the session, though, guys, just wanted to let you know we've got some really good sessions coming up the next few weeks. We've got Brett Evans coming up next week to talk about expat advice, and then we've got Kate Holmes from the US. So she runs a fee-only financial planning business. I've known Kate for a little while, and she's doing some really cool stuff. So that'll be a great session. And then we're going to dive deep into a bit of client messaging, and we've got a couple of cool sessions planned around that as well. So also, if for anyone Sydney-based, we've got the next XY Social event is coming up this Thursday. I think there's like 5 tickets left. If anyone's not already coming or has connections that are coming as well. So looking forward to that. We've got the guys from Acorns and also Key Person of Influence. It's set to be an awesome session, and we're looking forward to catching up with everyone. So cool. So Kath, thanks for jumping on the line. It's awesome to have you here. Just as a bit of an intro, can you just give us a bit of your background as to how you got into advice and what your business looks like, how long you've been going for, those sorts of things?
Yeah, sure. I predominantly worked from the age of 18, I worked in broking firms here in Perth, and when I started my family, I wanted to work closer to home. So our office is in Rockingham, which is about 40 minutes from the Perth CBD, and that's where I live. And I knew I had all this, knowledge about financial services industry, about broking, and I knocked on Pure Wealth's door and said, can I work part-time? And I started at Pure Wealth at 2009 in an administration role, and the first year that I started at Pure Wealth, the principal and owner, Rick, he had, something like 3 personal protection claims, and one was quite significant, which really resonated with me about the importance of, whilst you have your investments and you're creating wealth, with broking, I never really looked at the bigger picture. So in relation to wealth protection, and it was a lady who was a little bit older than me. She had young kids. They had a family business, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she received a trauma benefit. So I think in that particular year, I was like, wow, I really love this industry. There's so much more to, what we can do in relation to, wealth creation and wealth protection. And, had another baby along the way, and, Rick encouraged me to study, and, the 1st of July 2014, I was appointed an sub-authorised rep of Pure Wealth, and that's essentially how I got into the industry. And I've been sitting face to face with clients just over 2 years now. So yeah, does that help?
Cool.
Yeah, it's good.
You feel you made the right decision?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm really, really passionate about wealth protection and personal protection for Australians, and I have seen the benefits, and ultimately that's what made me go into financial planning. Was there's a whole lot to wealth creation, and you should be looking at the bigger picture. And I think what financial advisors do in Australia for people is really important and significant. And sometimes that wealth protection section gets overlooked. And that's what we do.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, okay. Cool. So I suppose you already answered it a little bit, but can you tell us who you work with and what sort of work you do primarily with those people?
Okay, so when I started, actually before I was authorised, I knew that there was a community within where I live, here in Rockingham and in Perth, that were, screaming out for a bit of attention. And and a lot of people might know this or they might not, but that was the Kiwi community and New Zealanders living here in Perth. And so I specifically targeted that niche, I guess you could say, and teamed up with some non-for-profit organisations, and went out there and spoke to them about why it's important that they should have personal protection here in Australia, and also talk to them about what superannuation is, because it's different to what they have over in New Zealand in relation to KiwiSaver, which is relatively new. They could see that the money was being taken out of their pay, but they really didn't understand it. So going out there and talking to that particular community and raising awareness and telling them, look, I understand your needs, come and have a chat and see if we can help you. So
okay.
they're the sort of,
and what? Sorry, go on.
You go. No, you go.
I was just going to say, why Kiwis?
Well,
apart from the fact that they're really friendly.
Yeah, they are. I'm actually married to one, so I'm a lucky girl. And
you guys didn't watch your rugby together, I'm guessing?
We do, but I definitely do not go for the All Blacks. Sorry if there's any Kiwis watching. I am well and truly Australian supporter. So let's hope we can win the Bledisloe coming up in the next few weeks, because it's been a long time. We've been down and out for a while, us Wallabies supporters, so I want to be able to give it back a bit.
Well, we won the gold medal in the Olympics against the Kiwis.
I know.
Female rugby.
Yeah. That was that last night.
I think, the night before, I think, yeah.
Yeah, because my husband woke up. He was not very happy about that, let me tell you. Because I think they lost to Japan. Sorry if anyone's watched, but anyway, so, yeah. Okay, what were we talking about?
why apart from the fact that your husband's Kiwis, was there things that drew you to that demographic?
Yeah, there was. They particularly when New Zealanders come to Australia, there's no safety net for them. In terms of if they get sick or injured, they haven't got Centrelink or the government to rely on. So it's really important that the message is that they should come over here and they should have plans in place. And especially at Peel Wealth, we deal with a lot of Kiwis that unfortunately do pass away, and they come to us for help with claiming it, any of their death benefits that they may have. But the cost associated with repatriation, there's really unique issues that they face. So personal protection is really important, and making sure that they're getting the right personal protection and the right policies that cover them, and explaining to them how it works. It's a little bit different to what they've experienced in New Zealand, but just talking to them essentially about making sure they're covered, what they need, what we do, but it's more specific for them, more unique things that they need a plan for than say an Australian, for instance, who might go. And we all know a lot of Australians go, the government will bail me out. But, when it comes to talking about, not all of them, but, when it comes to talking about personal protection planning, New Zealanders just don't have that safety net here. So, and they come to Perth and they come to Australia and they buy houses. They've got the same things and aspirations that we have, but they just don't have any sort of, safety net here. So it's really important to have that conversation with them. And they want to know about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cool. And just in that market, I suppose you just touched on it, but do you find that they're receptive to doing this sort of financial planning, or is there any issues with the fact that they are from overseas and might move back there, and does that sort of complicate things at all?
Not particularly, no. A lot of them do come over here and they do plan to stay indefinitely. I don't seem to have any. Actually, what I get from a lot of the people when I sit down with them and I explain to them how superannuation works, it should be working for you, it's your money, you should be looking after it. You can actually take this back to you when you go back to New Zealand. They thank me and they go, I didn't really know, thanks very much. And knowledge is power, I guess. And they seem really appreciative, and talking to them about, situations and scenarios that potentially could happen, they're like, well, that never crossed my mind, I never thought about that. So and then because I've teamed up, when I do my seminars, I've teamed up with a non-for-profit organisation called Oz Kiwi, and we talk about estate planning issues, we talk about superannuation, and we talk about personal protection, and then we get Oz Kiwi to come along and do a chat about pathways to citizenship, because it's not easy for New Zealanders to have a direct pathway to citizenship. So they come in and talk to them about their options and what's happening and those changes, and it all kind of intertwines together, and they walk away with, I think I'm going to go and have a chat to Kath, and then I'm going to, talk to Oz Kiwi about what my options are, because they seem to know what's going on. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, and how do you find your clients? Because I know you're doing some interesting things in that space.
How do I find my clients? Well, I do a lot of, in my second year, I have a lot of my clients now seem to be referring, so I'm getting a lot of referrals, but I put myself out there, I guess. I go out to, I'm heavily involved in local networking groups here in Perth. We have community multicultural events, and we, have a little stall down at those particular things. Just, having a presence. And I tend to look for parts of the community that have a need. And we've discussed this previously, but recently, where Rockingham is, we have Alcoa, and they've recently had some changes. They're no longer self-insured, they're now insured by an external provider, and were quite some significant changes which I had been watching along the way. So we went out to the community and said, look, we understand the changes that are happening in relation to your super and your insurances. Do you understand them? Do you have any questions? And go out there and talk to that particular community. So I guess it's finding a need that people have and being able to go out there and show them that you can help them, and just getting out there in front of people all the time, doing stuff within the community, really.
Yeah, okay. And I understand you do a fair few sort of seminars and live workshops. And is it true, as a follow-up question, is it true that you had a butcher at one of your workshops that you ran?
Yes, I did. One of the very, very first ones I did when I started was Why Women Rock, and it was focused to my female audience. And I thought to myself, I try to think about what I would like, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but financial planning can be boring. So if you're going to do a seminar on financial planning, right? No. If you're going to do a seminar on financial planning, you've got to make it interesting. You want people to come along and hear about it. You don't want to just talk about superannuation, because they'll probably all fall asleep. So what I did was I got one of our local female. She's actually the first female butcher in Australia. Her name's Grace Maiolo. She's called The Butcher Who Bakes. She has a radio program here in Perth on Radio 6PR, and she does Cooking with Grace segment, and she also does that with Bob Mormel, who's probably what we call like a shock jock in radio over here in WA. And so I asked them if they would come along, and we talked about, the needs of women in financial planning, and, try to raise some awareness there with our audience. And then Grace got up and did a talk about her journey from, you know, working in a male-dominated industry and, you know, where she is today, how she's, you know, she's got her own cookbook, she's a very well-established businesswoman. And then they did a cook-off and everyone got a free cookbook, and yeah, it was great. It was really awesome. I enjoyed it, and a lot of the people that attended, a lot of my attendees and ended up being clients. So yeah, it's great. So I do things differently, I guess.
Yeah.
I just like to do things a little bit different.
Okay. And what advice, because I know that, you know, you hear people doing workshops and engaging with clients sort of in the one-to-many level, but what advice would you give to someone that's thinking about going down that path or wanting to engage with people in that way?
Well, first of all, be yourself, but if you're going to go and talk about, you know, financial planning and specifically, or maybe personal protection, or you need to make it interesting to get people to come along to the seminars. So I guess where it's worked for me is with New Zealanders. I've teamed up with Oz Kiwi, which is, you know, in relation to the pathways to citizenship, which is a thing that people are interested in. And then they also are interested in super and personal protection. And then again, I guess with the, you know, female-focused financial planning, teaming up with a woman who can empower other women and show other women that they're doing things. And I guess that's essentially how, you know, I guess you should, you know, be a little bit different, be unique.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good advice.
I hope I'm answering your questions all right.
You do. Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. Okay, so 2 years in, just over 2 years in, what has been your biggest challenge and the most important thing that you've learned?
My biggest challenge. Okay, the biggest thing that I have learned. So here at Pure Wealth, the principal and owner's been in business since 1978, a long time. So he has formed good relationships with centres of influence in his business. And when I came along, he, you know, said there's younger people within those alliances that, you know, you should team up with. And I thought, okay, no problems, I'll do that. And one of the things that I found earlier on is it's really important to know who you're referring your clients to. So because one alliance with the principal might, you know, be a long-standing relationship, doesn't necessarily mean people within that business will be, you know, the right fit for my business. Because essentially, Rick and I have two businesses, right? So I learnt that quick, and, you know, making sure you know who you're referring your clients to, and yeah, because when I initially started doing that, I started getting some, you know, bad feedback from, you know, my clients, and, you know, that particular person wasn't very helpful, and that is a bad reflection on myself. So I quickly got onto that. And yeah, my own personal mortgage broker is now one of my major centres of influence, and he understands me, I understand him. We both have the same values, and, you know, we work well together. So if that was one thing I could say to somebody starting out, is really know who you're referring your clients to, because people rely on us to refer them to, you know, people who are going to look after them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. And I think, you know, centres of influence and referral partners is something that, you know, everyone's sort of interested in. Do you have any tips for people that are looking to find good people, apart from, you know, making sure that they're alignment, but in terms of how, you know, you go about sort of finding these people, or then how you go about sort of fostering that relationship with them?
Well, essentially, when it comes to my centres of influence, so the mortgage broker that I used was my own personal. I actually thought, you know, I better not contact my, I don't know. I was probably a little bit shy when I started out, and if you don't ask, you don't get. That's what I learned quickly. And when I explained to him about, he actually rang me for a coffee to catch up, and I told him what I was doing. He knew I was going down that path, and from the outset, I told him, these experiences I was having, and from there, it went. Well, he's very much a big part of my success in my business, to be honest. He's put a lot of trust in me, and vice versa, it goes back. But more so, he's put a lot of trust in me. Being a new advisor starting out, growing my business organically, I didn't have that client base where I could just refer back to him. So he's essentially put a lot of trust in me, I'd imagine. Well, that's how I feel. And then networking. So I have a great general insurance broker that I met through a local networking group, and I guess getting to know them on a bit more of a personal level as well, because that's just who I am. I'd like to know a little bit more about people that I'm referring my clients to. So, catching up socially and getting them to do some work personally for me has been good. I also have a really good referral alliance with estate planning solicitor here just down the road from the office, and she allows me to sit in on her estate planning appointment. So I'm learning from her, but she's also, I'm referring my clients to, because I physically see what she does, but I'm also building up knowledge, that I can take back to my clients by her allowing me to sit in on those estate planning appointments. So, and I met both of those, the general insurance and the estate planning solicitor, at a local business networking group. So one thing I would say is to get out there and get networking in your local community.
Yeah, okay. Good advice. Okay, and so what have you got coming up? What's on the cards the next 12 months? What's your plans for world domination?
I'm just going to continue on doing what I'm doing. I've just about finished my advanced diploma. I've got one more unit of that. So obviously furthering my education is definitely on my, priority list. I can see people asking messages down the bottom. Am I meant to answer those right now?
I'll get to them.
Okay,
come to them.
Sorry. I feel rude not answering them. Hi, everybody. I can see them. Hopefully I'll be able to answer them in a minute. But yeah, just continuing on furthering my education. I don't particularly, I don't know everything. And one of the things that I would say to people who are starting out and they're growing their business organically is to, connect with other advisors in your area and talk to them. What I found over here in Perth is that a lot of the advisors are really willing to share their information with you. And don't discount the older advisors. I think we have an opportunity where we can both learn from each other. I know the principal and owner here at Pure Wealth, he teaches me a lot, but at the same time he's learning a lot from me, taking his business into the digital age and showing him ways that we can do things better. Not always, but then he can also show me and mentor me in ways that I'm giving my advice, which, scenarios that he's obviously come up against in the last 30 years and how to deal with them. So, I would say one of the biggest things that I did when I started was the AFA's mentoring program, and I was able to connect with some really awesome advisors. One of my main mentors was Mark Rando at Rando and Associates. He's got an amazing business get on board and get out there and connect and talk to people. And that's essentially what I do. And one of the things I've always had in my life is if you don't ask, you don't get. So I ask. If they say no, they say yes, great. So, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, I think that's it for the main questions I wanted to ask, but I know that Phil's got some for you as well, so I'll turn it over to Phil.
Yeah, I got plenty of questions, Kath. So I'm going to ask some questions that I've thought of, and then I'm going to throw over to questions that people have been asking, and we've got heaps of them. So first one, just want to get a clearer idea of your business. Are you mainly risk only, or risk and a little bit of super, or holistic advice?
Risk, super, and investment. So, but I am really passionate about personal protection. That's probably, an area where I've had a really personal experience with personal protection in my own family. So, when I see people, and, one of the areas in our business is that at Pure Wealth, we've become known as, the place to go if you've got a claim. So a lot of people who aren't our clients are coming to us to assist, for help in assisting them with claims processes. I guess, it's something that I think a lot of Australians need. And, it's been, that I don't just do risk, I do everything essentially, but I think that I'm really passionate about, and what I enjoy doing. I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, no, that's good. And it's Pure Wealth?
Peel, as in orange peel.
Ah, right. I wrote down Pure. I wasn't sure what was going on.
Peel. Yeah, in the Peel region here, if anyone doesn't realise, it's the Peel region. Yeah. Got it. All right, so we've got heaps of questions. I got emailed some questions in the last few days. And heaps of questions have been flooding in, so we'll try and get through as many as we can. Justin emailed me, Justin Highland, and he said, all right, I'd love some insights on how you implemented best practices for engaging and your advice and implementing the advice and the ongoing services. So how did you kind of learn and gather what you think is best practices in all these areas? Well,
was it more, did you come into the business and things were all set, or did you kind of reinvent the wheel and learn about what you thought was a better way of doing things, and did you have the freedom to be able to do that?
Well, because I've come into a business that's already been established, I'm limited to what I can change within that business, which is something, I does frustrate me at times. But when it comes to the best interest and best practice and talking about the ongoing service offering with my clients, when I discuss that with them and I explain to them, about having an advisor there to, walk you through these, some particular stages within their life, they all seem really happy. And I'm a little bit lost with the question. So what specifically?
It's more, I guess, because you started, when you started, how did you get a good sense of best practices? Was it mainly you just started copying what Peel Wealth was doing?
Well, I guess, I had to, because, I was under, I still am with my practice principle, but there are things that, for him, it was harder for him to say, with the ongoing service offering, and you have to show value for the advice. If you're charging an ongoing service fee, you need to be able to articulate that value. So things that we've implemented in our business since, so it was a little bit more difficult for him to and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, to do things, because he wasn't doing things like the seminars. We actually have, market updates for our clients, and we do like a Christmas function. Well, it's not really a Christmas function, but it's more a social networking function for our clients, which our clients love. And we weren't doing that prior. And I said, I as an advisor need to be able to show value for my clients, for them to still want to, engage in my services. And we have our Financial Wisdom also do a client dinner once a year as well, which we invite our clients to. So yes, I am limited to what I can do, because I'm working with a practice principle here. But at the same time, this is what I was trying to say before, it has been difficult to get him to do those things at times. And, he's like, I'm spending money and rah. But I said, this is the way the industry is going, and we have to now start showing people the value in having an advisor. And they're the ways, we get some fund managers to come down. do market updates for our clients. I said we do a social networking thing. Our clients loved it, so they actually got to network with each other. Some of them are in business, they made connections. So they're the sort of things that I guess I knew where the industry was going and what we needed to do, and the difficulties in trying to get, and not my practice principal who's older, who wasn't used to doing that and showing value. If the client rang, obviously he would, service the client, but it was also making those connections and continually engaging the client and offering the reviews and doing all that stuff that was missing. So I guess that's how his business has benefited from having. Yeah.
No, that sounds good.
But again,
the next question is from Shane, and I guess, did you come into the business as an employed advisor? Is that?
No, it's really quite unique. So I do have my own business.
Yes.
And Rick takes a percentage of my upfront fees that I get, and then I keep my clients. They're mine. My business owns those clients, but I'm sub-authorised through PL Financial Planning. So we have...
The reason I ask that question is because the question is, when you started the business, you started with 0 clients, 0 cash flow. Yep. How did you actually manage that to start building a business, knowing that you've got 3 kids?
Yeah, okay. So my husband works, he's got a good job here in Perth, and I was working part-time, so I was studying before. And, so I didn't have, I guess if someone was going from full-time employment to doing what I've done would be difficult, right? So I didn't have, it was a bit scary, but I didn't have, much pressure because I didn't have to earn, a massive amount of money. So Rick put me on a retainer for 2 months on what my salary was. So I had 2 months to, cover myself. Yeah. And then I went from there. But I wasn't earning, huge amounts of money. Yeah. I think something like $20,000. So, that was the risk my husband and I were prepared to take. And, that was the investment. I guess we look at it as an investment. And, one of the things that was really awesome with Financial Wisdom was they included my husband in on the onboarding process. So, yes, I do have 3 young children, and it's been a massive role reversal in our family. And, my husband has had to pick up a lot of the mum duties. It's shared, actually. We share it now. And but he's very supportive. And I think if he hadn't been included on the onboarding process and Financial Wisdom didn't explain to me what would be required and how it would impact our family life, then maybe things would have been a little bit more difficult. I don't know, but he knew that, I was going to be taken away from the family at times. I would have to, see clients in an evening. And that's something that I've been working towards with my mentor through the AFA mentoring program, was being able now to say, well, no, I only work Monday to Friday. Weekends are my family times. But when I initially started, I was doing appointments at all hours and all crazy times. But I've pulled back from that now, and that's where the mentoring comes in. When you talk to older advisors about, how do I deal with this particular thing, and just, Kath, just say no. You've got to put some stuff. So I'm still learning. I still got heaps to learn.
And well, we all are. Yeah. Even all the old guys and girls are still learning. So I guess from Shane's question, it wasn't as daunting because you weren't going from, full-time wage and then,
And all of you that do that, I admire you, and it would be hard. And I'll say one thing: it has been absolute hard work and long hours and getting out there, and it's not been easy. So if people think coming into this industry is easy and bam, you're going to have clients, it's definitely not like that. It's all up to you, and you've got to be able to get out there and talk about what you do and talk to people and be good at that, I guess, if you want to start from scratch.
And also what you mentioned about Financial Wisdom onboarding both you and your husband, I think that's a massive takeaway that dealer groups, if anyone's listening, then you're part of a dealer group. That's, for me, a no-brainer. And it kind of leads on to the next question. With financial wisdom, have you felt, how has their support been in growing your business? So John has asked that.
I absolutely love financial wisdom. They have been, and people will have their opinions of all their own dealer groups, but from the outset, with the onboarding process with my husband and me being included in, what's required of me, but just what I love about financial wisdom is the support that we get as advisors. And my BDM, my BDMs, because I've had two, and they're both female BDMs. I've not had a male one, so I'm not I don't mean to be, rude to the male BDMs, but they are absolutely awesome. They get what they understand, what some of the struggles are in relation to, balancing family, balancing your business and balancing the kids and all of that as well. But what I like about financial wisdom is the support we have in compliance and making sure, that we're doing things right. I like the fact that, we have strict audits regularly, making sure, I can pick up the phone and talk to, compliance about certain things. I can pick up the phone and talk to research about certain things. I know that the research that's been done is really thorough research, and they're really dependable. So I couldn't say anything bad about financial wisdom. I really,
that's good to hear.
So if anyone's looking to join, no, they're great. They're very supportive of their advisors.
No, great. And Jenny Pierce has asked, and you've already touched on this quite a bit, just about, do you have mentors and business partners and how they help you grow? So you've kind of touched on that a lot, but maybe just give us a shout out to who your mentors are and how often are you kind of meeting with mentors?
So one of my main mentors is my practice principal, Rick, and he is really passionate again about personal protection with his clients, and he's encouraged me continuously from even when I was thinking, I might not be able to do it. He was, Kath, go and study. Kath, go and do this. You can do it. You can do it. So he's an amazing, and he seems to have done it for a lot of women. So I've got to give him credit. He's very encouraging in getting out there and pushing you that little bit further. And then obviously through the AFA mentoring program, I was able to connect with Mark Rando. And again, I've had situations where I've rang him, client situations, and I've gone, oh my God, what do I do here? I've been really, it's upset me. And, he's picked up the phone. He's like, right, take a deep breath. This is what you do. And I've actually travelled down to his office a couple of times and talked to him about how he's doing things in his business. And, he's been really open to sharing, what they do down there. A lot of my centres of influences as well, I guess, are mentors as well, because they're older than me and they've been in the business. So I talk to them about things. And I guess, one of my main mentors in my career would have to be, I'd have to say it would be my mum, because when I started, she looked after the kids while I was studying. My husband at the time just saw me studying all the time and nothing getting done. But my mum would be the one that would be, watching the kids, making sure I, got my exams done, doing my study, helping me out heaps. So yeah, they're biggest influences in my career.
Awesome. Mums are the best.
They are.
All right. A few more questions. It's kind of more about how you're charging, but you said that lots of people who aren't clients come to you for claim services. Do you guys charge them a fee to manage that claim service?
Yes. So that's something that I identified at the AFA conference last year, and Rick had done a lot of a lot of people would come in and, they'd say, oh, this particular situation's happened, my partner's passed away, and he would help them through the process but never charged. And, I said to Rick, we should be charging for this. solicitors are charging a fee and we know what to do, and you have 30 years experience in dealing with the institutions. You know exactly what to do. Why aren't we charging for this service? And believe it or not, the people that come to us who aren't clients that utilise this service are, happy to pay the fee. They don't want to deal with the institutions. They don't want to deal with the stress, and they, we've not had one client say, I'm not going to pay, I'll go and do it myself. They were like, you guys are the experts, you know what to do, we'll leave it in your hands and tell us what the fee is at the end. We obviously get them to sign a client engagement before we undertake that work.
Yeah.
So, and it's been, we have built up a reputation over here in Perth as, offering that service to people.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And just more broadly about, Shane has asked he wants to know more about your fee structure and how it works.
So that's something that I've just really, I'm learning about as well, along with you guys. So initially, we would do the client declaration at the back of the FNA and tell our clients that there was a statement of advice fee, and then there's an ongoing service fee if you wanted to opt into our ongoing service offering. And then we talked about the commissions, and it would all be in the statement of advice. But a couple of times I'd done a whole lot of work for people and then presented my advice, and they didn't want to proceed, or they were mucking me around a little bit. And that's something at Financial Wisdom, we have a business peer group, and we discussed and highlighted that there are other advisors in the same situation. So, and one of the things that I took away again from the AFA conference last year was fee for service. So now I have, before I pick up a file, so I'll do my first appointment, no obligation, no cost involved, essentially, for the first appointment for the client. But after that, we mail them the client engagement letter with the terms, so it's clear and the client can understand and see the value in the advice. They agree to that. And then once I get that back, then our office will pick up that file and work on that file. But now I don't, and it all depends on the client's situation as well. But the way we charge our fees is articulated in that client engagement letter.
Mm.
So it eliminates those people that are wasting your time, essentially. And I did come across a few people like that, and it frustrated me immensely because if an electrician went out there or a plumber went out there and did all this work, and then you go they go to charge you and you're only going to pay you like half of that.
Yeah.
No one would do that. So why do they do that in our industry? We should be able to hand an invoice out and say, I've done all this work, there you go, now pay me. It's no different.
And
so I guess
sorry.
I guess
Go.
I guess that's something that I'm still working on in my, and getting the confidence to do that, and having those conversations with clients about it. But it is like, I don't understand why we are looked upon as no different to an electrician. I've got to feed my kids and put a roof over my head, like you have to do it for your family. So why won't you pay me? Do you know what I mean?
And
putting that client engagement letter puts it in clear, specific terms, so they know specifically, how we need to be paid, and they've agreed to it.
And just with that engagement letter, is that based on hourly rates? John's just asked if it's based on hourly rates, or is it just a kind of?
It depends on their circumstances, how we charge their fees, particularly. Yeah. Every client can pay. We have different options, so it depends, but it's all articulated in that client agreement letter.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. No, that sounds very good. Thank you so much. We kind of run out of time. We're right up to finish time. So thanks heaps, Kath, for coming.
No worries. I hope that went well, and I hope anyone took away something from it. And thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. How do we get in contact with you? If anyone who's watching, either live or watching a replay, how do we get in contact with you?
You can go to our business Facebook page, Kath Cairns and Rick Palmer at Pure Wealth Financial Planning, or look up www.purewealth.com.au and contact us through there. But yeah, happy to have a chat. And yeah, give me a call.
Awesome. Thanks, Kath. My takeaways were you don't ask and you don't get. And you mentioned that a few times in the interview. The other one was it was a thing that I thought was really good is you're just sitting in meetings with the estate planner and just to kind of learn from them, learn what other professionals are doing so you can kind of improve the way your understanding of estate planning and improve your business. And the last takeaway from me was talking to other advisors and pick up the phone and just see what they're doing well and ask as many questions as you can. So
annoy them.
Annoy them as much as you can. Those are my 3 takeaways. So, guys, I'm just going to sign off. Make sure that you head over to I'm going to put up a link to next fortnight's webinar with Brett Evans. And make sure if you're not on the mailing list, go to xyadvisor.com, jump on the mailing list. Every fortnight we run these sessions. So make sure you jump on. And tomorrow night, we've got a XY live event in Sydney. So anyone in Perth or down in Melbourne, we can get on the flight tonight or tomorrow morning to join in. And the tickets are online somewhere. I'm sure we'll find a link somewhere to get it. So make sure you try and jump onto those live events, and we'll see you in a fortnight's time. Thanks again, Kath. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Kath.